Reaching $500,000 in net worth isn't just a financial milestone, it's a complete psychological transformation. At this level, you're no longer thinking like someone building wealth, you're thinking like someone who has wealth. The scarcity mindset that drove you from zero is gone. The anxiety about money that lingered at $100,000 is gone. The cautious optimism you felt at $250,000 has evolved into quiet certainty. You're operating with a fundamentally different mental framework than 95% of people. And that shift in thinking is what separates people who stay at $500,000 from people who accelerate to seven figures and beyond. I'm Kyle, and today I'm breaking down the exact mindset transformation that happens at $500,000, how you think differently about money, risk, time, and opportunity, and what you need to do mentally and strategically to keep building. If you're below $500,000, this is your roadmap for the thinking that awaits. If you're at or above it, this will help you leverage it fully. Stay until the end because this mindset shift is worth more than the money itself. Let's dive in. At $500,000, you stop thinking in terms of survival and start thinking in terms of optimization. When you had $50,000, you thought about covering emergencies. At $100,000, you thought about building security. At $250,000, you thought about creating options. But at $500,000, you think about maximizing returns, minimizing taxes, and deploying capital strategically for exponential growth. Your questions change. Instead of, can I afford this? You ask, is this the best use of capital? Instead of, how do I save more? You ask, how do I make my money work harder? Instead of, what if I lose my job? You ask, what opportunities can I pursue? This shift from defensive to offensive thinking is what accelerates wealth building at this stage. You're no longer protecting what you have, you're aggressively growing it. The mental energy you spent worrying is now spent strategizing, and that's a force multiplier most people never unlock. The relationship with time transforms at $500,000. Early in your journey, time was your enemy. You needed more of it to save, to compound, to build. But at $500,000 with an 8% return, you're generating $40,000 per year passively. That's $3,333 per month, or roughly $110 per day. Your money is earning more per day than many people make working full-time. Time is now your ally, because every day that passes, your wealth grows automatically. This changes how you value your own time. You start thinking, what's my time worth? And making decisions accordingly. If you're spending hours on tasks that could be outsourced for $25 an hour, you're losing money because your time could be spent on higher leverage activities, building businesses, negotiating deals, or simply resting so you can think more clearly. At $500,000, you buy back time aggressively because time applied to the right opportunities compounds wealth faster than labor alone ever could. Risk tolerance shifts dramatically, but in a sophisticated way. You're not reckless, you're calculated. At $50,000, a $10,000 loss felt devastating. At $500,000, a $10,000 loss is a 2% setback, annoying but not life-changing. This allows you to take asymmetric bets where the downside is capped, but the upside is unlimited. You can invest in startups, real estate deals, or business opportunities that have 10x or 100x potential, because even if they fail, you recover quickly. But here's the key. You're not gambling. You're making informed, strategic bets where you've done the research, understand the risks, and believe the probability-adjusted returns are in your favor. This is the mindset of wealthy people. They take more risk than broke people, but smarter risk. At $500,000, you have enough capital to play in bigger games, but not so much that failure destroys you. This is the sweet spot for intelligent risk-taking that creates generational wealth. At $500,000, you start thinking in decades, not years. Most people think, what will I do next year? You think, where will I be in 10 years and what decisions today set that outcome up? This long-term thinking changes everything. You're willing to invest in assets that take 5 years to mature because you know they'll compound into something massive. You're willing to start businesses that lose money for 2 years because the back-end payoff is worth it.
You're willing to sacrifice short-term consumption for long-term wealth because you've seen firsthand how compounding rewards patience. This patience is rare and powerful. Most people lack it because they're stuck in short-term survival mode. But at $500,000, you've escaped that trap, and now you can play the long game. Wealthy people become wealthy by thinking in decades, while everyone else thinks in months. You've unlocked that ability. Your relationship with income shifts from earning to building. Early on, you focused on increasing your salary, getting raises, switching jobs, side hustling. That's still valuable, but at $500,000, you start thinking about building income-producing assets that generate cash flow without your direct labor. Real estate that pays rent, dividend stocks that pay quarterly, businesses that generate profit, royalties, licensing, or intellectual property that pays residually. The goal is to replace earned income with passive and portfolio income, so that eventually working becomes optional. At $500,000, you have enough capital to deploy into these vehicles meaningfully. You can buy a rental property that cash flows $1,000 a month. You can invest in dividend stocks generating $15,000 a year. You're not relying on a paycheck anymore. You're building a financial machine that pays you indefinitely. This shift from earning to building is the bridge to financial independence. The scarcity to abundance mindset flip is complete at $500,000. Scarcity thinking says, I can't afford this, and money is limited. Abundance thinking says, how can I afford this? And money is infinite if I create value. At $500,000, you've proven that money isn't scarce. You built $500,000 from nothing, which means you can build more. This confidence allows you to think bigger. Instead of asking, can I retire early? You ask, can I build a $10 million net worth? Instead of, should I take this opportunity? You ask, is this the best opportunity available? Abundance thinking doesn't mean being reckless or wasteful. It means believing that opportunities are abundant, that you're capable of capturing them, and that growth is inevitable if you stay disciplined. This mentality attracts more wealth because you're operating from confidence, not desperation, and people, opportunities, and capital gravitate towards confidence.
At $500,000, you become hyper-selective about how you spend time, energy, and capital. You realize that every dollar, every hour, and every ounce of effort is finite, and wasting it costs you exponentially. You stop doing things out of obligation. You stop attending events that don't serve you. You stop investing in mediocre opportunities just because they're available. You become ruthless about saying no to anything that doesn't align with your highest priorities: wealth building, health, family, or personal fulfillment. This selectivity is a form of wealth protection and acceleration. Every no to something mediocre is a yes to something exceptional. At $500,000, you've earned the right to be selective, and exercising that right is what separates people who plateau from people who reach seven figures. Guard your time, energy, and capital like they're the most valuable resources in the world, because they are. The network effect becomes critical at $500,000. The people you surround yourself with at this level are either accelerators or anchors. If you're around people who are broke, entitled, or jealous of your success, they'll drag you down mentally and financially. But if you're around people at $1 million, $5 million, or $10 million, you'll learn faster, see opportunities you'd miss alone, and be inspired to keep growing. Wealthy people don't just have money, they have access, knowledge, and connections. At $500,000, you're credible enough to enter these circles. Attend mastermind groups, invest in coaching, join investor networks, or simply befriend people who are where you want to be. The ROI on upgrading your network is incalculable. You'll learn strategies, avoid mistakes, and access deals that aren't available to the general public. Your net worth is heavily influenced by your network. Optimize it aggressively. From $500,000 to $1 million is faster than you think if you stay disciplined. With $500,000 invested at 8%, you're generating $40,000 per year in returns.
If you're contributing $30,000 annually from income, you're growing by $70,000 a year. At that pace, you hit $1 million in roughly 7 years. If you increase contributions to $50,000 a year or earn 10% returns, you can do it in 5 years. The math is clear. The exponential curve is fully engaged. Your job now is not to sabotage yourself. Don't inflate lifestyle. Don't pull capital out for consumption. Don't stop investing aggressively. If you maintain the discipline that got you to $500,000, reaching $1 million is inevitable. This is why people who cross $500,000 often become millionaires within a decade. The machine is built, the momentum is real, and the path is clear. Just stay on it. At $500,000, legacy thinking begins. You're no longer just building wealth for yourself. You're thinking about generational impact. How do you teach your kids about money? How do you set up trusts or estate plans? How do you create systems that ensure your wealth compounds beyond your lifetime? This isn't about ego, it's about responsibility. Wealth gives you the power to change lives, fund educations, support causes, and create opportunities for people you care about. At $500,000, you have enough to think beyond yourself. Start educating yourself on estate planning, tax optimization, and wealth transfer strategies. Think about the values you want to pass down, not just the money. Generational wealth isn't just about capital. It's about teaching discipline, delayed gratification, and smart decision-making. At this level, you're not just wealthy. You're a steward of wealth. Take that responsibility seriously. At the core, the $500,000 mindset shift is moving from building wealth to being wealthy. You're no longer proving you can do it. You've done it. You're no longer hoping compound interest works. You're watching it work every month. You're no longer wondering if financial independence is possible. You're engineering exactly when it happens. This mental shift unlocks a level of clarity, confidence, and strategic thinking that most people never experience. Start today. If you're at $500,000, lock in these mental frameworks and execute relentlessly towards $1 million. If you're below $500,000, internalize this mindset now so you're ready when you arrive. Track your progress. Stay disciplined. Think long-term. Optimize relentlessly. Tell me in the comments where you are on the journey to $500,000, and let's get you there. This mindset shift is the difference between staying comfortable and building generational wealth. Let's finish what you started.